when we talk about data or data now, we're talking about humans. We should be talking about the faces, the names of the people, not about religion.
Have you ever filled the form in this country? It's one of the things I have.
It does. I think we further fuel this whole issue. It doesn't really matter. People are missing. Young girls are missing. Your father. So now, if your child is missing, no one should be asking what form of religion he or she practices.
I agree with you.
So
actually,
why are parents or organizations or body trying to harp on that when it shouldn't be the main focus?
CAN is one of quite a number of organizations that have focused on this whole issue of the missing girls. To pick CAN,
then who hasn't?
To pick CAN,
who hasn't focused on it?
I haven't said anybody.
Because even we've seen protests from around the world. Even our correspondent Bengachi was in New York. All over the world, people have been protesting.
My point
so
is,
why would anyone want to make us go the Boko Haram way to think that it's about religion?
My point is very simple. CAN is one of quite a number of organizations, Nigerian and international, that have spoken about this issue. To use CAN as representative of everybody else's thoughts, feelings, and or emotions will actually not be a proper way to go. There are quite a number of people who have looked at it from the simple perspective of Nigerian children are missing. It doesn't matter to us whether they're northerners or southerners. It doesn't matter to us whether they're Christians or Muslims. We just want our girls to come home.
Yeah, and
so to pick CAN as representative of everybody else and what we all think and feel, it's not exactly the right way to go.
You say there are lots of questions than answers.
Yes, please.
It means you suspect something is amiss. What is your ultimate suspicion then? With all these questions, where is it headed?
The ultimate fear will be that someone somewhere high up in government is complicit in this. That would be the ultimate fear. And if you look at it critically and see the way the dots don't connect, and you see the failures, right, in administration, it just makes you really afraid.
Complicit to what extent? That this is what's the word now? Orchestrated?
Is orchestrated the word I'd like to use?
Really?
I'm asking myself whether orchestrated is the word I'd like to use.
What would you like to use?
But you think there's something political about all of this. That's what you say.
There's a fear to that fact. It is the ultimate fear of quite a lot of Nigerians. I'm not the only one, but it is a fear.
Okay, if that's the fear, if that's a fear, when you talk about WAEC and they said the government has assured them they were going to provide security, yes, but at the end of the day they did not provide security, will they have been wrong if WAEC said, okay, they've written us, so based on this, let's go ahead, and then on getting there, maybe they do the exam the first day and they don't see security? What's wrong with them saying, I'm sorry, you haven't lived up to your word, we're pulling out?
Again, we in answering that question, we need to understand the Nigerian political context. If the governor of a state says something to you in this country, it is practically law. It's almost to the point where, you know, you take it the way he said it. Now, if you check the flip side of the coin that you just threw at me, if WAEC had pulled out, the fact is we would have, quite a number of people would have construed it, one, as giving victory to Boko Haram, two...
No. Before the kidnap.
I understand that. If WAEC had pulled out before the kidnap, after having gotten there and said, we don't want to continue, we've done day one, we're not satisfied, and so we're leaving, quite a number of people would have taken advantage of that fact to say, one, we've given victory to Boko Haram, two...
Because they're being security conscious?
We've been security conscious. For instance, there's criticism on the fact that we're taking a lot of security measures for the World Economic Forum. There's actually criticism to that fact. If I remember properly, I saw on a popular blogger's Twitter feed last week where he said you're pulling out 6,000 people to come and protect foreign leaders, and then you are leaving other Nigerian citizens open. And the amount of concurrences that I saw to that line of thought were a little bit scary. This whole thing, one of the problems I have is that with this whole thing, there's a lot of manipulation to make it look as though quite a lot of things that ought to be done are not being done.
Part of the reason why that question for why I came is because, I mean, you also are aware that all federal government colleges were asked to just shut down and go home. So Chibok is a government secondary school. So if WAEC had insisted, are you sure people would have still said, no, you're giving victory to who is not, because they insist on doing the right things?
I'm quite sure that we would have heard something. Would have heard WAEC is refusing to train northern girls. Would have heard stuff like that.
No, what if WAEC...
we would have heard
What if WAEC did all of that because of its personnel, safety of its personnel, not that they cared about the children?
In this, I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know how to answer that particular question. But I know for a fact that if WAEC had said we won't do this, would have heard people say, this is because they are northern girls, that's why you don't want to go. Or northern students, that's why you don't want to go and educate them. It's something we would have heard. We're that sort of people.
We shouldn't be.
We shouldn't be. It's particularly annoying having to discuss that fact. It is particularly annoying that as a people, rather than stand, a few days ago, on Saturday I think it was, somebody came to my house and, gave so much of an example of the World Trade Center, the responses of the American government, but omitted and refused to agree relating to the responses of the citizenry. As a people, we haven't supported this government enough relating to this particular issue.
Let me ask you this one.
Ask me.
Do you think the girls are missing?
Again, I'm sorry. As a lawyer, right, when the questions don't add up, sometimes it's easy to err. Now, realistically, we see parents crying. I was at the Unity Fountain the other day, and I saw parents who cried and said, or a couple of people who say, yes, our children are missing. But when you don't know the particular number of children that are missing, when the Borno State Commissioner for Police says, come to me, give me a list of the parents, come to me, give me a list of your children that are missing, give me photographs, give me data, and nobody shows up, it raises all sorts of questions. How do we know that the total number of girls who are missing are 100 or 120 or 276? If the military, for instance, should go into Sambisa forests right now and bring back 100 girls, how do we know that that's not the total number of girls who are in the forest?
So do we disregard the comment of the principal?
Which of the particular set of comments now? Because she's given quite a lot. She's given two different stories. So which of the particular sets of comments are you asking?
Which two different stories?
One, she said the students were taken in a commando style. And another one, she said the students came and the abductors came in military fatigue, and she helped load them onto the truck.
Thereafter, she said she realized she made a mistake.
Thereafter,
what about her comment about the figure of those who were missing?
Even then, she's given two different figures. The first day that happens, the school comes out to say maybe 80. A few days later, it says 192. A few days later, it says 234. As of today, we're hearing possibly 270. What do we believe?
Because she also did say that they didn't factor in the arts students at the time.
Ask yourself, at that particular point in time, they were supposed to be writing physics exams. They said students were kept there for physics exams. Why were art students in school? Ask yourself. It doesn't add up.
No, but remember, they also told us that it's supposed to be a girls' school. The white chap said that much on tape.
Why were art students in school? Not boys, not girls.
No, but was it only art students that were in schools?
No, it says they were there to write physics exams.
Not a day school, a boarding facility. So if
it's
you're not writing exams, it doesn't mean you should leave the boarding house.
I'll ask you a question. If you're writing physics practicals, for instance, because I think it was physics practicals at the time, you live in Maiduguri, or you live in Chibok, unsafe environment. Your children, will you allow your children go and stay in school for an exam for which they are not qualified or registered?
No, how about this? Because if physics was to be done on a Tuesday, and maybe I did maybe arts and not English on Monday, they could also have maybe another art subject on Friday, so they can't go home and come back on Friday. Have you considered that?
Well, now that you mention that, but again, These are the sorts of questions for which I don't find answers.
So you say there are too many questions?
There are too many questions.
All right.
Way too many questions.
Okay.